Welcome to the Life Makeovers podcast. My name is Cindy D. Whitmer, and I am the Midlife Makeover Coach, helping you turn your midlife into your best life, one step at a time. Through powerful conversations, my own midlife roller coaster story, and over 3 decades of helping people transform their lives through counseling and coaching, I am on a mission to help you create your own definition of success and happiness. Thank you for being here. Hey, everybody, good morning. And I hope you're having a wonderful day. I cannot believe it is August already. And I know some of you are probably about to enter into the empty nest. One of the great challenges of midlife for those who are parents who raise children is dealing with the empty nest. In other words, when the last child leaves the home that you have raised and goes off into the adult world, and then there you are still at home looking at their empty or semi-empty bedrooms. Okay. So I get it. There can be tremendous grief with this. I've been through this myself. I get it. I know the pain of it, at least my version of the pain of it. And I also know that there are gifts in it as well. So I just want to bring you some encouragement today for those of you who are entering into this zone or may still be struggling with the empty nest adjustment. And that is really, I want you to let yourself grieve. When I dropped off my kids they were 2 years apart, but our son ended up graduating from high school early and left the year after his sister did. I raised 2 biological children. I now have more children through a blended family, but at that time I raised the 2. And when they were both off to college and my nest was empty, so to speak. And I'd also divorced their father a few years before that. So I went home to an empty house except for me. The grief, there's nothing like it. I mean, there's nothing like it. And I remember going to their bedrooms and, plopping down on their beds and crying and, just not believing how quiet the house was because, they don't just leave, all their friends leave, and our house was kind of a steady stream of friends, which was wonderful. I had a lot of kids that called me mom, when my kids were growing up, and they all left too. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just so quiet. And then I know I've told you guys before, like when I went to the grocery store for the first time after they were both gone, I was done getting everything on my list and the cart was so empty. I was just like, oh my gosh, did I forget something? Like, what did I forget? Like, no, I had everything on the list. I just didn't need hardly anything. It's only me I was feeding, no longer a teenage boy and another girl, another person. And it's just, I struggled in the grocery store a time or two. So it can hit. I get it. The grief of the empty nest can hit in all kinds of scenarios, not just the moment you drop them off or just the moment they get in their cars and go away to wherever they're going, whatever they're doing, the job, the travel, the military, the education, whatever they're going off to do. And so, I just want to offer compassion for you and encourage you to grieve. Always vent your feelings, grieve, don't vent them to them. But it's not their burden to bear. They've got all kinds of things they're learning to manage now, but to really give yourself grace and let yourself grieve and feel the sadness of it, feel the heart tug of it, and start to shift. Hopefully you've been shifting anyway as they became older children at home. Hopefully you let them manage their lives a little bit more, let go a little bit more, didn't revolve your every moment around them. But if you did, and it's really hard to cut the cord, I get it. The grief could be even more intense. So one of the best things you can do besides deal with your feelings, express your feelings in a healthy manner, manage those feelings. Maybe you journal, maybe you exercise to kind of get your feelings out physically. Maybe you're a prayer, a meditator. Maybe you need to talk to some of your other friends who are also going through this or have gone through this. Whatever you need to do, but do it for sure. Honor where you're at and start to get a life of your own if you haven't had one. This is the gift of the empty nest. There's several, I think, but one of them is you can really, your life is freed up in a new way that it hasn't been. And when I say that to women, some of them say, well, yeah, I didn't want it to be, I don't want it to be this freed up. And it's like, I get it. That's the resistance to the empty nest for sure. And that's understandable too. But honestly, pretty soon, I promise you, if you keep, getting up in the morning and thinking about, gosh, what do I want now? Like, what do I want to do with this time that I gave to these kids? Or how would I like to change my schedule, now that I'm not revolving it around whatever schools, activities, needing to give them rides, having people, friends in your house all the time, whatever it was, and really think about that. And you don't have to leave their bedrooms as bedrooms for them. You can, of course, many parents do, but you don't have to. If you've been wanting to create a craft room for yourself or an exercise room for yourself or a business office for yourself instead of the kitchen table or the dining room table, whatever you want to do, or you just want to update its decor because you want it to look more like a more grown-up bedroom, whatever you want to do, it is your house, it is your space. And you don't have to leave it any certain way for them. So I would begin to make your space your own and your life your own in whatever way starts to feel good. And that might even be just changing when you get up in the morning or changing the kind of food you eat for dinner, or if you even eat dinner, and that kind of thing. And so ask yourself, how can I make my life more my own now? How can I do that? And let them have their life, right? So that's some of the gift. One of the gifts of the empty nest is, how can I create my life as my own now? And the other gift that I thought was so great when I could really embrace it, and I encourage you to work on this if you're not there already, is I stopped feeling so responsible for them. Like when they were living in my house and I was raising them, I felt so responsible for them. Like I mean, I didn't do everything for them, but I felt really responsible for them. Like I would check in and say, did you get your homework done? Or don't you have to be at work by now? Or, are you getting enough sleep to manage everything? Blah, 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 blah. And now it's like when they're gone and they're living elsewhere, and they're adults, it's like, okay, if you don't show up to class on time or work on time or pay your bill on time or whatever, or you choose not to do that, or you live in filth or whatever, then that's not my responsibility anymore. It's theirs. So that's another gift. You can kind of free yourself up of feeling like it's the burden of their lives is on you. Like you've done it. You've had 18, 20 years to give them all the influence, give them all the examples, give them all the input, whatever, set them up well for adulthood as much as you could or wanted to, or in the ways you wanted to. And now it's up to them. So I find that to be another gift of the empty nest. It's a little bit of a relief, or I found it to eventually feel like a bit of a relief to think, oh gosh, I don't have to be responsible for them. And it isn't that I don't care, I care deeply for all of my children and all the young adults in my life. But there's a difference between, caring about them deeply and being a resource if they want me to be, and continuing the relationship in our new normal and feeling responsible for them is a big difference. So think about those two gifts, even as you're grieving, and you might be able to think of more gifts that will come with the empty nest, or that you're experiencing in the empty nest. And that's great. I'd love to hear more about those. But grief, for sure, it's a real grief. It's real, and that's okay. You will manage this. You'll get through this, because whether you think it is or not, your whole life has not been the role of mother. You have other roles, other identities, other ways to impact, other ways to enjoy life than through that channel alone. And then, so grieve it. And you're still a mother, by the way. That didn't end. It just shifts. It's just a shift. And we'll talk more about that on my next podcast. But also enjoy the gifts. Enjoy the gifts. Okay. So find some gifts in your life right now. And I will talk to you again soon. Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to the Life Makeovers podcast. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, find out more about my coaching programs, or download my free ebook, The Midlife Makeover Method, The Secret to Loving Yourself Fully and Living on Your Terms, then head over to my website at www.cindydwhitmer.com and have a wonderful day.